1?
515. Oh, you can't get a 1. She just walked in.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It's 5 anyway. 6. Okay. 9.
okay, Stephanie?
7. 9. 8.
Cheryl?
9, 8, 11.
Both times together. Did you roll?
Yeah. 12.
12.
6.
6, 3, 2.
And Amanda?
9, 10, 5.
See, so if we stopped here, we should go to 36. If we stopped here, look what we already see. Theoretically, based on the chart we had originally filled out, which one was the most? 7 was supposed to come up the most.
We actually have 6 and 9.
And we have none of that. So that is a good way to show your students the difference between theoretical probability and experimental probability. And when we were talking about the fairness of the game, you know, between this and the original horse race, when we showed them the original slide, their original thought would be, this is not fair, right? Based on this and the original chart, this is not fair. 7 is going to reach the finish line first.
So whoever gets to pick 7 first.
Right. So based on the experimental, it shows them that probability is all about chance.
So as an extension, you could have the students create a fair finish line for the horse race 2, which ends up looking more like this, where 2 only has to roll once, 7 has to roll 6 times in order to get to the finish line. And then you can have the students take the results and discuss the mean, median, and mode from their results. Okay, so this is our second activity, so we really won't do it, but it's a spinner activity that's based on, again, the experimental versus theoretical, and it's another way to see that just because something is likely does not mean that it has to happen.
Right, and this can be done at their desks with spinners. They could do it themselves with a pencil and paper clip and provide them with that, or they can even design their own spinner to change the probabilities and the outcomes.
Which you have,
which are also in
the packet.
This is another good activity to show the difference between theoretical and experimental.
And a lot of times students have an issue with quarters, where if you roll the quarter, you assume if it's 10 times in a row that the next one has to be a head. But if you roll 10 tails in a row, it's still a 50-50 probability.
Each time you roll.
Okay, so this would be where we do the extension, or the activity with
the spinner.
And then as a class, you can record the results and see if their results individually versus the class results made a difference and were closer to the theoretical.
The instructional methods that can be used in any of these activities with probability and statistics can be a combination of whole class, small group, pairs, independent work. It depends on your class needs and how you effectively use them together or independently. Like we said, we did this whole class. It certainly would be very effective with small groups, and each group can tell us who won their race. And then we can see, wow, one group 7 did win, another group 7 did not win, or more groups 7 won. So this is the type of activity and the type of subject area that you can actually effectively use a combination.
For both. So in the packet, you'll see a few examples of assessment. There's one is the quiz, which is in the packet, whereas another is the written response as have the students write a letter to a jockey and suggest which horses he should pick to ride in the race. So then they have to explain themselves and what their thinking was, and you have them communicating their ideas.
Right, and the jockey extension or assessment would be interesting also if you asked them the question before you started the activity and if you asked them after the activity, and if they're if their suggestion or recommendation to the jockey would be different or the same.
Whereas, and then you can do other forms of formative assessments where you're asking questions throughout the the assessment. And then summative assessments where you're either exit forms or parking lot boards or the quiz that we presented or the written. So does anybody have any questions for the discussion or ideas?
This presentation was for, or workshop was for 6th grade class, right?
Mm-hmm. And the standards that are in it are for
sixth
For
grade.
New York State.
For 6th grade, yeah.
And it's important for an activity like this or a topic like this, the formative assessment is very important throughout the entire lesson, the unit, because this way the teacher can scaffold. You know, you're not going to go ahead to an activity if you already don't have some students with you. So the formative assessment is very important here.
So in summary, probability and statistics are all around us. You even use probability and statistics this morning if you check the weather report to find out what you're going to wear today. So you can teach probability and statistics. You might have had anxieties about it before, but
we did too before we started this.
but it's very clear cut and fun activity for the students to do.
And it's certainly a topic, an area that you can involve the kids in and get to know your kids and, you know, model your activities around their interests, because it is everywhere. So if they're very interested in sports, use the sports connection. If they're not, then go with the weather or come up with the lottery. There's lots of different ideas that you can work with this. Thank you.
Yeah.